For this week's video response, the prompts are a little different than usual, which was kind of fun for a change. The first question that we were asked was, what was something you learned from this week's materials that perhaps you had heard about before in terms of research and writing, but that you found useful revisiting again? So I had a class last semester that was solely based on writing a literature review. We spent all semester writing it and editing it. So I feel like I do have a lot of experience when it comes to writing research papers in this way. But one thing that I read about that I hadn't necessarily been taught or knew a lot about was the different ways you can organize your literature review. So those ways include topical order, chronological order, problem, cause, solution order, general to specific, and specific to general order. I had never really heard of all of them before. My class was focused on one way, which was problem, cause, solution, I believe. So that's what we focused on. So I hadn't really learned about the other ones. So that was interesting to me. The next question is, what do you personally feel is the muddiest in your own research process right now? What are you stuck, struggling, bored? Honestly, I feel like right now I have a lot of work in all my classes, so it's hard to balance it and it's hard to prioritize which is most important, which do I need to do now, which do I need to do later. So I think the hardest thing for me right now is really focusing on the research. I started researching a little bit, especially for a presentation. I had to do some research for that, and I found a lot of articles, but I think investing a lot of time in the research, which is the part that takes the longest. So that's what I'm kind of stuck on right now. But I know if I designate a few hours to it, that it'll be fine and I'll get caught up. But that would be what I'm stuck on right now. And the last question is, if you had one tip of your own to share with the class in terms of setting yourself up to get a good grade on a paper or presentation, what would it be? And I think one tip that I would give when it comes to setting yourself up for a great grade on a paper presentation would be to keep your research organized. Like I said before, I had a class designated on writing this type of paper, so I know how stressful and overwhelming it can seem at first, but it really isn't that bad if you keep yourself organized. So I found that when I find something in my research that I want to use, putting it into sections, starting out having an outline is so important. Keeping your research organized. That way you're not overwhelmed when you're writing the paper, because it can pretty much fall together really easily as long as you keep organized. So I think that would be my tip to everyone or anyone that's writing a research paper like a literature review. It's just to stay organized, and it's not as hard as you think it'll be.